Good day, scholars. We are today continuing our work in our solar system booklet. It is our second day of a special week with this nonfiction text. Taking a little break this week from our stories about Wendy and Sydney. So I'd like you to think for a moment. Do you remember what the table of contents is? Let's see if you were right. The table of contents is a list of page numbers where specific information can be found. The table of contents is found at the beginning of nonfiction texts. It is a great idea to be familiar with what is in a text before you read the text. We are going to look at the table of contents for this book. So use the table of contents to answer 3 warm-up questions today. The table of contents can be found on page 3. Question number 1. On what page can you read about Saturn? Pause and find that answer. Did you say page 18? That would be correct. Question number 2. What can you read about on page 23? Pause and answer that question. Right, asteroids. Question number 3. To what page would you go to read about Venus? Pause and answer that question. Page 9 is the correct answer. So remember, scholars, the table of contents is a list of page numbers where specific information can be found. So going back to those questions, right? If you wanted to read about Venus first because it's your very favorite of the planets, you could use the table of contents to find where to go. Page 9 to read about Venus, your favorite of the planets. Let's continue. So today we're going to read pages 11 through 17 of the book. You can follow along with me and listen to the reading, or you can skip this part of me reading and read it with someone in your family. Page 11, Earth. Earth is a very special planet because it is our home and also because it is the only planet in our solar system that can support life. The most important difference between Earth and other planets is the abundance of liquid water. Water covers nearly 70% of the Earth. Earth rotates about once every 24 hours, or one day. It completes one orbit of the Sun about once every 365 days, or 1 year. Earth's atmosphere is made up of gases that living things need to stay alive. The atmosphere protects us from most of the sun's harmful rays. It also helps to protect us from meteors by causing them to burn up before reaching Earth's surface. Earth has one natural satellite, the Moon. The Moon. The Moon is about 1/4 the size of Earth. It reflects light from the sun onto us. Many scientists believe the moon was originally a part of Earth and was broken off in an enormous space collision. Tests have shown that there is water ice on the moon's surface. Earth's ocean tides are caused by the gravitational pull of the moon. Mars. Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun. It is known as the red planet because of large amounts of rust colored dust on its surface. Mars is the most Earth like of all the planets of our solar system. Mars has seasons similar to our own, and the soil there is similar to the soil on Earth. But there is very little oxygen or water vapor in Mars's atmosphere. The climate on Mars changes widely between seasons. Temperatures on its surface can range from 30 degrees Celsius, so 86 degrees Fahrenheit, in the summer to a negative 130 degrees Celsius or 202 degrees below zero Fahrenheit in the winter. So, scholars, that is much, much colder than even some of our coldest winter weather. 202 degrees below zero Fahrenheit, right? But the 86 degrees Fahrenheit in the summertime, right? That's a nice, warm summer day for us. But it gets obviously much colder on Mars than it does here on Earth, or at least in this area. Page 15. Mars often has winds that blow up to 200 kilometers per hour, or 120 miles per hour. These winds cause great dust storms that color the planet's atmosphere pink. There are ice caps on both poles of Mars. The northern one is made up mostly of water that never melts, while the southern pole is made up of carbon dioxide, which changes from solid to gas during the Martian summer. Mars has two small moons, Phobos and Deimos. A year on Mars is almost as long as 2 Earth years. A day on Mars lasts only 1/2 hour longer than a day on Earth. Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. It is like a star in many ways because it is made up mostly of gas clouds. The clouds of Jupiter form bands that have very high winds and are always very stormy. One gigantic storm rotates counterclockwise at a constant speed of 360 kilometers per hour, or 225 miles per hour, and acts much like a hurricane. It's called the Great Red Spot. Easily visible, it can be as wide as 3 times the size of Earth. So, scholars, you might remember that came up in our story about Wendy, right? That eye we heard could fit 2 Earths in it. And you can see it on the picture in your book, and you can see it on your screen in this video. So, at times, it gets big enough for 3 Earths to fit in that space. Wow. Jupiter's temperature is very cold at the tops of the clouds. At its core, it is hotter than the surface of the sun. This next part is very interesting. Listen, in some ways, Jupiter is like a mini solar system because it is so big and has four large moons and dozens of smaller moons orbiting around it. And we know, scholars, one of those moons is Io. It also has several thin rings at its equator. Scientists believe that if Jupiter had become larger during its development, it could have become a star instead of a planet. Jupiter spins quite fast for such a large planet. One day on Jupiter is roughly 10 hours. It takes Jupiter almost 12 Earth years to complete its orbit around the Sun. So, scholars, that's where we're going to stop today. And we'll continue with our next reading next time. But for today, your assignment in your packet is to complete solar system sheet number 2. And this time in your sheet, you're doing something similar to yesterday, but this time you're writing two important facts about each of these in today's reading. So, two important facts about Earth, two important facts about Mars, two important facts about Jupiter. Remember, they can be things you think are important or things that you found interesting, but list two important facts for each of those three planets. Then, question number 2: is the sun the most important part of the solar system? Why? Use evidence from the book. So, do you think it's the most important part of the solar system? Right? So you could write, I think the sun is the most important part because blah, 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 right? What did you read that makes you think that? Or the sun is not the most important part because beep, 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 right? What did you read that supports that idea? All right. Remember, when you're finished filling out solar system sheet 2, take a picture of it. Submit that photo to your teacher so that your teacher can read what you picked out as important facts about Earth, Mars, and Jupiter today. Thanks for joining me and listening to our reading of the solar system booklet for today. See you next time.